Well, looky here. You are listening to someone who is bold, authentic, diverse, unpredictable. Baby, I am unapologetically Ramon, and you have entered my zone, the QB zone, baby. Hello, somebody.
Rock Legion.
So today's episode of the QB Zone is a very interesting episode. Very much one that I'm looking forward to seeing how I'm enlightened and just the information we're going to discuss. It really happened by accident. I hadn't planned this episode, but in having a conversation with my guest today, she sparked something that I found very intriguing because it connected with an aspect of a journey that I am on, or I can talk tonight. So my special guest tonight is Lauren Gomes, and the title of our episode is Me versus Religion. Lauren Gomes, how are you, ma'am?
I'm good. This is a very interesting topic, when it comes to religion, mainly because, as people from your previous episodes know that I was raised as a Seventh-day Adventist. However, I no longer believe that. So more to come.
And so I'll just say for me, what sparked this episode was that I too, as you know, was raised in Adventist. We used to go to the same church. And it wasn't until probably my mid-20s when I started to wonder if I actually still identify as a Seventh-day Adventist. I continue to go to church on Saturdays. I continue to do choir rehearsal on Fridays because I generally enjoy going to church. I was never one of those kids where my grandparents had to force me to go to church. I generally enjoyed going. I generally enjoyed choir rehearsal because for me, music was my favorite aspect of the service. Not so much the word, love the word, don't get me wrong, but you could give me a good old praise and worship and I would really feel full and be like, I've gotten what I needed. And then I started to attend other churches. And I always did as a child because I had other relatives that were from other religions. I had friends in college that was other religions. But it was when I was living in Brevard, I had moved back to Brevard, and I had different friends who were from different churches. So I would go to support them, whether it was Shiloh, whether it was Allen Chapels, Macedonia, so many family from Macedonia, Mount Moriah, which my grandmother used to attend as well. And I had a lot of family friends that went there. And I just noticed that I started to connect differently with the service, with the message, with the lack of judgment that I felt like I received at these churches. And now in my 30s and have gone through all kinds of trauma and just negative situations, life situation, some my fault, some not. I have noticed that I have gotten so connected with non-Seventh-day Adventist churches, church services. When I think of the pastors and their ministry, that has really kept me sane, kept me alive, kept me help me get to where I am now. None of those ministries are Seventh-day Adventist.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was important for me to learn was the importance of just having a relationship with God. No, not so much as me focusing on actual religion and the practices that some of these religions can restrict you to. And I feel like they focus so much on the what you can do and what you can't do and pleasing those that be within that religion, that why are we not feeding or fostering a healthy relationship with God? Why is that not the focus? So I can't tell you last time I've been to a Seventh-day Adventist church. Like I really can't tell you the last time because even before my grandma died, I wasn't going. Like out down here in Miami, I was going to a place called the Faith Center. That's the main place that I go. My favorite pastor is Keon Henderson. He's the pastor of the Lighthouse. His ministry is in Houston, Texas. And then there's Darius Daniels. I can't remember where his church is, but I feel he has one in Orlando. But nonetheless, he's one of the ministers I listen to. And I've always loved Bishop T.D. Jakes. You come, and probably more so than mine, I'm sure your household growing up was a lot more traditional and a lot more strict when it came to the Seventh-day Adventist religion. So talk about your transition through that and where you were now, and were you concerned or scared when you started to feel the way you feel about Seventh-day Adventist religion?
So just from basically just starting growing up, it was very strict. You know, my dad was an elder in the church. My mom, on my mother's side, I should say, they were born into the Seventh-day Adventist religion, whereas my dad, he was baptized into it. So he learned it from my mom and my mom's side of the family. So with everything that they were practicing, it when they had children, they brought that on and they taught their children. So, you know, growing up now, I was always basically a rebel. So I always wanted to do things differently. So I would definitely question, what is it that you're teaching me? And it was always, you know, read Psalms, read Revelation. Here's Daniel and the Revelation. Here's Ellen G. White books. And it was all these books and reading, but you're not really teaching me. At least that's how I felt. You weren't teaching me what I was asking about. So I got into college. I went to Oakwood.
Seventh-day Adventist school, by the way.
Yes, it's as an Adventist. Well, I'm not. Is it Adventist? Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
Predominantly Adventist, I should say. So they were very the music, I should say, was very inspirational to me, where, you know, I joined the choir there and I felt so involved with what I was listening to, what I was hearing, what I was researching, you know, having this different aspects from, you know, other people within the US. So seeing where that took me, and then now I'm in my 20s, it was like, okay, I'm still gonna go to church, but am I really enjoying it? Am I getting anything out of it? And that's when I started to question, what is it that I truly believe? Because what I went to college for was a completely different experience than my household. And, you know, being strict Caribbean parents in the Seventh-day Adventist church, you could not cook on Saturday or on the Sabbath at all. You couldn't do anything that involved manual labor, nothing. It was just super, super strict.
No TV, no none of that kind of stuff.
Baby, let me tell you something. That was an experience, okay? You literally went to church from morning to evening. It was something else.
Right.
But whereas now I'm in college, it's not so strict, it's very relaxed, where you have the, you know, the young people, they go out to the park, they have AY outside, and they do all these different things, get you involved. And it was like, yes, they had that before, but my parents were very, you know, very sheltered. They sheltered me from that type of experience. So now that I went out and I got that experience, I wanted more. So, you know, leaving that experience now to live on my own, now I don't have anybody breathing down my neck to go to church. I didn't have anyone basically forcing me to go. I only went out of obligation because of my parents, and because my dad was an elder. So I didn't want it, you know, to make it look like, you know, I'm just not gonna go. after a while, it said, you know what? It's not for me. I'm not getting anything from that particular church.
Right.
So I stopped going to church. During that time, I did have a very difficult transition. I was lost. And with me being lost, I mean, I was searching for something and I didn't know what that something was. So yes, I went to other churches, but it just wasn't fulfilling. And then I ended up, which is so completely random, I was scrolling through YouTube and there was basically this video that was saying, do you know your spirituality? So of course, now I'm thinking, the government is listening to my phone calls, like how I'm going through these stuff. And then I actually watched it. It was like, it was about an hour and a half, basically video challenging what it is that we were taught as we were growing up. And I'm just like, is it that my parents, is that the only religion that they know? Yes, there are going to be other people saved, but in the Adventist church, they're number one kind of
The only true religion. Yeah.
It was just mind blowing to me. So,
Right.
From that, I just started looking at different things, and I got into African spirituality. And a lot of people may think that it comes from like voodoo and all these other, religions or things
Practices
from
and stuff. Yeah.
practices. And when I think about it, it makes me think, well, when we're given the information at a young age, they're teaching us what they know, so
Absolutely.
now that I'm older, I want to know more, like, where did that spirituality come from? Who taught you that? Where's the origin of it? And then that's where I started getting into how the Greeks, they stole a lot of African spirituality and it branched off, and it just opened up a whole new world for me. So I've been like really kind of digging myself more into learning, because I'm still in the process of learning.
Absolutely.
So it was just like all these different things that it was just like fireworks just going off in my brain. It's like, I need to know more information. So now, of course, I told you before that I just downloaded audiobooks, and I have so many different titles right now, and it's like mind blowing to me. There's so much out there that we're blinded to because we were not taught that growing up.
Correct.
Where did religion initially start? It was in Africa. At least that's what I'm reading. I might not be right, but that's what I'm reading most of the time. So yes, it's very different for me now.
And when you think about a lot of the teaching, you think about in Seventh-day Adventist, think about Ellen G. White and just all the different authors and things they talk about. It's always Seventh-day Adventist is the one true religion, and that any of those others, it's not the right religion. It's not true, and just everything like that. And even when they talk about Sunday versus Saturday, how Saturday is, 7 days of Sabbath. So the 7th day is, Saturday, not Sunday. So, they kind of downplay those who go on Sunday. One of the things that spoke volumes to me, I am a person who I go off of energies and vibes. One of the issues I've always had, and it may sound simple to some, but for me, when you have people who may not look like you, may not dress like you, may not act like you, and they come to your church, you would think as a visitor, as someone who's supposed to be of God, that you would be welcoming to them. We both know in our religion, and more so, not so much our generation, but we know growing up, especially in our religion, that if you came not looking a certain way, or whether they felt like you should look, and you did not conduct yourself in the way they felt you should conduct yourself, they would have these attitudes. They were not welcoming to the guests. They, let's just say, I can't tell you how many times I've had people or know people who have had conversations with guests who have either come to our church or other family religious churches and said that they would never go back because they didn't feel welcome. That to me speaks volumes. It's kind of like being a customer service rep for a company. You're the first face of voice when it comes to the customer. So you really have to make sure that that component is on point, because it could be the difference between you keeping a good customer or the difference between you gaining or losing a potential good customer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you are the house of God and you're supposed to be representing God, how are you not hospitable? It's kind of like spiritual segregation. Because because you dress how you dress, you can't be a part of us. But then you go to other churches, Baptist, non-denominational, AME, and you would think that you've been here before. You're welcomed as if you've already been a part of the family. They don't give a goddamn how you dress.
Yeah.
They don't care how you look. And I think, you know, when you talk about you being the rebel, let me say this. I think anyone who has a voice and who exercises their right to be heard is considered a rebel. So you weren't the only rebel. You was probably my favorite rebel, but you weren't the only rebel in the church, because I remember back when you know, my grandmother, she was very free or lenient when it came to me expressing my personality and how I want to express myself, right? So I remember when I started to get the designs and stuff in my hair. And she didn't have a problem with it, but I remember one of the ladies from the church felt the need to call her and tell her how they felt about me getting these designs in my hair.
No.
They must have called her on the right day, because she didn't respond how I thought she should have responded.
I knew it.
But what she said was, well, you should have the conversation with him.
Mm-hmm.
First thing came to my mind is, why you set that woman up?
They got to know we grown, like,
because,
you
baby,
know,
you know,
have a
and I was,
conversation.
but the thing, I was in high school at the time. But my whole thing is, you set that lady up, because you know, as soon as she come to me thinking she finna check me about my hair, we finna have a whole different conversation in the name of the Lord. Because if your name wasn't Lawrence or Amanda, or one of the people in the church that I respected or was, you know, was cool with, like your mom and dad could have said anything to me, you know, or Elder Weaver or brother and sister Adeline. There were certain adults that they had that type of relationship, so they could check me or pull me to the side and say whatever. And I'll tell you who this woman's name is when we get offline, because her son may be listening. But I was like, no, and she never had the conversation. By the way, she never had a conversation.
Funny.
I remember when I moved back to Brevard County in when I moved back, 2013, I moved back. And you know, by this time I had maybe 4 tattoos at that time. I got 12 now, so I don't know how many I had then, but I think I had like 4. And
let me hide my
and this one on my left arm, this one was not there at the time. This is my newest one, but this one was there. This is the fraternity one. And my first fraternity one. And I'm always in choir rehearsal. And my arm, you know, I don't give a goddamn. My arm was laying on the bench. And I remember Elder Weaver and some other older gentleman, I can't remember, was sitting right behind us. And I heard them say, when my shirt moved up, I heard, and they probably didn't think I was gonna hit on or whatever. They heard me say, hey, look at his arm. My mom got a tattoo. And I guess they expected Elder Weaver to say something. or check me or whatever. And he said, okay, that's still the same.
Exactly.
He literally said, okay, that's the same young man he's always been.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of a sudden I got a tattoo, so I'm this demon, I'm this evil person.
Baby, there's
And
some
only
stories
God.
on that too, honey.
And then I started getting designs in my hair. I started coloring my hair. The braids with different colors. I would love to know what the hell they'll say now. My behind got dreads that are colored. But it's just simple stuff like that. They want to send you to hell.
Yeah.
But I can go to a Baptist church around the corner. I can go to a non-denominational and feel so much love from a complete stranger.
I think
that component is missing to me in the Seventh-day Adventist religion.
Yes, I think that was one of the major reasons why I didn't feel comfortable, even though, especially my dad, like, I know I can go to my dad, but you know, everybody looks up to my dad already. It's like,
yeah, we do.
I already know what you're gonna say, so I'm not
Right.
gonna ask you, kind of thing.
Right.
It was just, I just didn't feel comfortable enough to really voice my expressions, because what we practice in church is literally what we practice at home. There
That
was
is so
no
true.
room
That is so
for
true.
me to venture out until
Right.
I actually left the home.
Yeah.
So when I left home and did what I did, you know, I got my ears pierced, you know, got my tattoo, and I was like, oh, that was a big thing from my mom.
Yeah.
It was a big thing. Like, how can you do that? And
My grandma
you know
too.
what you represent, you know, with
Yeah.
our family. And in my mind, it's like, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying, not trying to disrespect you, but I really don't care. That was
Right.
that was how I felt. I ain't
Mhm.
gonna say that to my mama. You crazy?
Of course not. Of course. Of course not. Not that woman.
Right. And so it was like, because now I'm doing things on my own. I'm not living in your house. I'm making my own grown decisions. So it's like, now that I'm doing that, I'm still going to church because I'm respecting my parents. And now I'm getting all these, you know, like the side, oh, look at Elder Gums' daughter, you know, that kind of thing. You hear
Yeah.
the snickering and all that stuff. And I'm like,
But they won't
I'm
say
the
it to
same
you.
person.
But they won't say it to you. Yeah.
I have a story about that one
Oh,
too.
yes. We have a lot of, we went through a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know who it was that felt the need to go to my mother and say, you know, you need to go and talk to your daughter on how she's looking and how she's dressing. And surprisingly, my mother said she's grown. She doesn't live in my house. And basically the same thing. You have a problem, you go talk to her. Nobody, and that's my biggest thing. You are grown enough to tattletale, but not grown enough to have a grown person conversation.
Right.
That's the problem that I have with that particular church. Not saying that it's all the churches are like that.
It's not all
I think
Seventh-day
the
Adventist.
older generation back then
Right.
didn't understand the youth, which is why the youth was not there.
But also, I think to go along with that, they also felt like we should stay in our place. I think a lot of them had issues, especially when they knew us, but when we were really young. A lot of them really had trouble of that transition of us into adulthood. And I think that they just felt like they're older, they have lived longer, they have more wisdom. We just need to abide by whatever they say. I really feel like it was some that were like that. And that's why they would respond the way we would respond when we started expressing ourselves. But like you said,
Yeah.
the same old young person that you loved or liked or whatever before we got the tattoos or the piercings or whatever. I never understand why that had to affect character.
Like, you know, there were certain people in the church that I absolutely love. Sister Mac, may she rest in peace.
Yes, yes.
She was someone who, you know, you can actually have a conversation with without feeling judged.
Absolutely. Sister E. Banks.
You know, Sister E. Banks. She was like my grandmother. Like, you know, it's just certain individuals, the older generation, that knew what us young people were going through, and they needed to, you know, feel like they're being heard. So when we would voice these opinions, or if we did have an opinion that did not match the church, it was automatically shut down. There was no room to grow. There was no room to actually challenge what is being taught.
Right.
And that's something that I thought AY was supposed to do. You know, you're trying to bring more youth into the program, but you're not giving the youth a voice to actually speak.
Absolutely.
So why are we going there? Why are we having these programs and you're not giving us that opportunity?
Absolutely.
So I just stopped. It just was not for me.
Mhm.
It was lacking that urge or that yearning that I was looking for. And I found it through music at another denomination.
Absolutely.
Like, come on now.
Absolutely. What are some of the teachings or some of the things that you've come across with this journey you're on that is new? One of the new things you've learned to come across that has really stood out to you in a good way?
Well, just by listening to this one book right now, is called Stolen. Who wrote that? I don't remember who wrote it. I wrote it down somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But the name of the book is called Stolen, and it's about Greek mythology.
Okay.
And African mythology.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how, in school, everything is always, of course, whitewashed. But when they started talking about horoscopes, it made me think, like, when it comes to timing and how things are done, and the whole thought process of horoscopes,
Mm-hmm.
it just really made me think, like, is it really true that people born at a certain time, a certain day, a certain area possess these same qualities? And I knew that was a saying, but to actually tie it down to a specific place, that was new to me. Just like in Greek mythology, the Greeks are from the north. How can they have a lion as a zodiac? Lions are originally from Africa.
Correct.
They stole that from Africa. They're, the correlation that they were doing just to show how things are so similar,
Mm-hmm.
and all these other places is stolen. It's like, dang, what else is out there that, that we don't really know?
Exactly.
Everything right now is just, it's eye-opening, and I'm searching for it. And that to me was it was different. Like, I knew, but I didn't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. There's a lot that I'd like to know about, like, with the pharaohs, the Black kings and queens. Like, I'm on that journey, and I'm excited about that, to know, like, especially women of power, women pharaohs. You never hear people talking about that.
No, because in the 7-day Adventist, a woman, like, it wasn't until it was, let's just say, it was very scarce and rare that you saw a woman in certain
leadership.
position in leadership.
Yeah.
Correct. We never had one as an elder, let alone a pastor. And I think it was maybe within the last 10 years, I started to see a slight resurgence of women who were elders, but was elders and are actually allowed to preach, not
Exactly.
elders and was just giving other assignments. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What was the conversation, or what has it been like with your parents as you are on this new journey? Because I can say for my grandparents, like, the deep conversations and the things that were learned, taught, and instilled in me, that most okay for my grandmother. My grandfather didn't care. As long as I wasn't committing no crimes, as long as I was happy, he didn't care what I was doing. My grandmother, although, and one thing I liked about her, she never forced her spiritual views on me. She would present them to me and would allow me to do with it as I chose.
Yeah.
But all she wanted me to focus on was having a relationship with God and paying my tithes.
Mm-hmm.
She was a faith-filled woman, and she had her life experiences that fed her faith into the importance of paying tithes. And she also wanted me to make sure I pray and things like that. Outside of that, as far as any actual religious practices, she wasn't big on that. She wasn't big on gotta be in church every Saturday morning. Because first of all, she knew that there were churches in God's house. And some of these people that go to church, she's always tell me, one of the things she would say is, just because you go to church every Saturday morning and you hallelujah praise God, don't mean you're going to heaven. Because you're going to have some of these people in church every Saturday going to bust hell wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Have somebody on the street corner who's going to be right there in them pearly gates. So what was that conversation like with your parents, with you having this new journey?
So surprisingly, this conversation that I had with my mom, it was eye-opening because I wasn't expecting it from her. And basically what she was telling me is, whatever your journey is, make sure you follow it through, go through it fully. Absolutely. Whatever you're searching for, make sure you do it thoroughly. So whatever journey I'm on, it may lead me back to Seventh-day Adventist. It may lead me to just something completely new. Just make sure that whatever I am doing or whatever I am researching, that I do it with full open intentions and trusting what I read or what I research. So hearing that from my strict Seventh-day Adventist mother took me off guard, because it's like, you trying to send me to hell? Like, what you trying to do? So, it was just something that I wasn't used to coming from her, because everything was always, you got to do this way, pray. Don't do this. It was just completely different. And for her to say that not all Adventists go into heaven, and there are other religions that are, you have devout Catholics and devout Baptists. Those are the people that you would really most likely see. Not, I don't know what their issue is or their background is, but most likely you'll see those type of people in heaven. It's not just going to be Adventists. And correct. I took that and I was like, you know what, she's right. So whatever I am learning is going to bring me down a path that is definitely going to be eye-opening for me, and I'm going to truly believe it. And that's kind of the journey where I am now. Like, I've just gotten so focused on trying to find more books about spirituality, not necessarily like dark spiritual. I don't really, some people find that to be good for that, hey, good for you. I personally can't do that.
And that for me, I agree. I'm on the same page with you. And for me, it nothing to do with Seventh-day Adventist. Just me and my own personal.
Yeah.
No, because
I can't do dark magic stuff. No,
I can't do it either. Because why you got the? Okay, I remember in the Bible when at times they were burn the sacrifice, the lamb, whatever, as a sacrifice. Altar. Praise. Beseech the Lord and give him glory and praise. You don't need a lock of my hair. Mm-hmm. You do not need my blood. You do not need chicken foot. You do not need horse's tail to help me through whatever I'm going through. Now that's no. Why are you? One of the things about speaking in tongue and speaking on the language, there's always a component of translation. Exactly. Mm-hmm. When you speak whatever you speak and you can't translate or explain to me what you said, no, I'm good. Although I am a curious person, I would like to try, and I think I said this in the previous episode, I will be interested in trying tarot card reading.
I'm not ready for that.
However, and let me tell you something, because my mind is all over the place, and I'm not always rap type. So she messed around, or he or she messed around and tell me some crap that's true, I might want to grab my keys and my phone and leave. But what I'm not, but you know what I would never try? But I feel like, I don't know if I say this on this episode, I feel like I was a little tipsy. I might try going to see a medium. I think I will fall the hell out if you tell me that my grandma, my great-grandma, or some dead loved one got a message from me. And it had to come from them. in order for you to say the words you just said, then I'm not ready for that.
Let me tell you something. And this is a part of the journey that I am truly, truly terrified of, because spirits, and I know you always tell me this, right? But spirits can do some very dangerous things.
Hello, somebody.
Especially when you are searching for answers. And I know I'm not gonna say that I don't believe in Jesus, but I will say that there is a higher power somewhere out there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're opening up yourself to that spiritual realm, because it is unknown to the human mind, it can get overloaded by some very demonic things.
Absolutely.
And that is what I personally I can't see myself going to no medium. I can't see myself just being okay with someone who speaks to dead or has the opportunity.
Let the dead stay dead.
Who doing that? You might be conjuring something else that's speaking through you. No, ma'am. No, sir. I personally can't, my brain can't take that. I just, And I'm a type of person, I vibe energies too. So whatever energy that you getting, I'm gonna get the energy, keep it over there. Nope.
Hello.
Not.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can't do it. It's just something about just that thought process. Like, how many spirits already went through you? How many, good, bad, or ugly, what did you experience? And then you're going back to your normal self. Are you really normal?
Correct.
Those are the things that I do question, like it's so unreal to me. And maybe because, again, I don't think about that. I don't practice that. So maybe that's another road, or, that I might go down. I have no idea right now. So.
Right.
Right now, I'm mostly like interested in, like I said, African mythology. I'd like to know a lot more about the Moors and how they, how that correlates or corresponds with American culture too.
Right.
It's just all these different things, what is it? The Kemets in Africa, or the Sudanese.
The Sudanese, okay.
Former Kemets, that area, that region. I'd like to know more about that. Why is it that with the Sphinx, Africa was a rich country, and it still is, honestly, a rich country full of culture. Why is it that other people are so threatened by that? To where you're basically saying that it's no more. Like, why did you take off the nose off of the Sphinx? Because now you're trying to erase history. Why is my history, or in my brain, why is my history threatening you so much?
Correct.
And that's kind of like my thought process now, where, I'm reading. It's new. It's a brand new experience for me. I don't know how I'm going to get through this or why, but I'd like to get any books that I can find that are readily available on Audible.
No, and I understand. Yeah, because it's when you have so much going on, it's very more convenient to listen to Audible. I know for me, when it comes to what I look for, when it comes with religion, because I will say I still believe in God. I still believe in faith. I read the Bible. I read a lot more of, once again, I'm about relationship. So
Yeah.
I read books that I feel feed my relationship with God, and feed three important components that I feel connects me to a higher power, connected to God. That is faith. because when we go through things in life, we need to believe in something to get us through. So that faith component.
Mhm.
Compassion. I think that at times that was lacking in the Seventh Adventist Church, compassion.
Yeah.
And with compassion comes no judgment. I don't feel like you can
Yeah.
have compassion for somebody and judge them at the same time. You can understand me and not judge me. You can give me a lecture or give me some, I guess, for lack of better words, some form of reprimanding me, but not judging me and making me feel less than.
Yeah.
And then the third component would be love and acceptance. And so that what has drawn me to religion and the various ministries that have really, really fed and touched my soul. When you think about the journey that you're on with religion, what are your components? Even if it's just one, what is one thing that you feel you need to connect you with something?
I'm looking for enlightenment for sure. So that's just, I haven't really thought about that. I'm just literally just seeing where the rivers flow because it's so much knowledge out there that I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't understand what it is that I'm truly like feeling for it. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe that's the wrong choice of words. I'm sorry.
No, whatever, however you feel.
But it's like, I need to get understanding of how it all started and why did it start there, and then branch off to, whatever direction it may take me. I think I'm mostly trying to get that understanding of in the beginning.
Right.
Just like how the Bible that was presented to us in the beginning, where is that beginning? Eden. Where is
Absolutely.
Eden? Africa. So it's like starting from the very, very beginning is what I'm trying to get that understanding from.
Absolutely.
So, and I don't know if this is going to be blasphemous, Lord, forgive me. I don't know. But I'm going to say this. The same Bible that was given to us, I question that too. And here's why I say I question it.
Right.
Because there's so many books out there that was not included, or it may have been taken out. So
I agree.
one of the books that my dad told me I should read is the book of Enoch, where it really like explains history,
right,
of who is connected to who and how long from the Old Testament. When my dad told me that, my dad is an elder in the Seventh Adventist Church. And he telling me I need to read, these other books, which I have that on my list. I need to go and listen to. It makes me question, like, why did they take out that book in the first place? Why is it that they don't want us to understand the history of what they're giving us? A lot of people, and especially the older generations, they're diehard Bible from Genesis to Revelations and nothing in between. Like there's stuff that was taken out of the Bible. And the true Bible, in my opinion, again, I don't want to, cause any issues or anything. To me, the true Bible is more than 66 books. That's logically, that's what it is. I feel like when the Bible was created and not created, when it was put together, whether it's King James, New International, Miracle Bible, all that stuff, all these different versions, there's things that are taken out of it to fit a certain narrative. So to me, we need to go back to the beginning. And this is, again, starting from fresh. Certain words, certain letters weren't even it didn't transition correctly. So these are things that I'm learning as I take my journey. Just like the name Jesus, it is hard. It's hard to say this, but the
Say
letter
it.
J was not there. So where did Jesus come from? You know, all these things, it's things that I question now.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a journey again that I'm personally going through. Not saying that Jesus is not real, but what was his real name?
Right.
You know, some may say Yahshua. Is that right? I don't know. Like, you know, I'm still, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I know it's there. I just have to keep looking, keep searching, keep reading and understanding. And that's the one thing I need to make sure that I get the power of discernment, because some people would do some really crappy stuff to throw people off. And I need to make sure that I have that power of discernment to where I can weed out the crap from the non-crap.
And what I love so much about this journey that you're on is one of the things that my grandmother also used to say to me is you should study to show yourself approved. And what that means is we have these elders, these, ministers and these spiritual people who tell us this is what we should believe in, this is what we should do, and this is thus said the Lord, and da 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 da. And a lot of people take that and run with it. That's what they're told to believe. That's what they believe. That's it. No questioning it.
Yeah.
But in order to have a real connection with God or whatever higher power you believe in, whether you're Muslim, Buddhist, Catholic, whatever your religion is, whoever you look to, you really should not just take what somebody told you to believe, told you that this, that, and the third. Have your own mind. Because I feel like when you do study to show yourself approved, you have a better connection with whatever you believe in. And there's a sense of guarantee that that connection with that higher power is going to be sustainable. And your foundation can be stronger because whatever you believed in, you've studied, you've learned about it. And so you're self-assured this is what you believe in. I love the fact that you are on a journey where you question certain things about religion and you haven't turned your back on it and said you no longer believe, but what you're doing, education is power. Can nobody take your education away from you? They can take a lot of things away from you, but they cannot take your education away from you. You are empowering yourself by opening up yourself to religion, opening up yourself to studying. You learn about other different practices. You're learning some historical components that we know are not taught in our churches. And so knowing these historical components of whatever at the end of the day you choose to believe in is going to give you a better understanding. So whether you at the end of this journey realize or feel like I am going to identify against Seventh-day Adventists again, but this is my relationship with it, whether you just resolve it at being not denominational, or whether you just resolve it at I'm not necessarily conforming or identify with any necessary religion, but I'm just a spiritual being.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Wrong with that.
I appreciate that because, sometimes it's like I feel like I'm alone when it comes to searching all these different things. And it's mainly because I don't understand and I don't have like a teacher, so to say, that will kind of guide me like how we normally do in school. This is really a journey to where I have to push myself to learn more, because growing up, history was not my favorite subject. It was never interesting to me. I always thought that whatever happened in the past, that doesn't affect me. Now, I think completely different, 180, completely different angle. And now it's like what did happen in the past is affecting me now. We could talk about, the big 400 years. We could talk about that. It's still affecting us till this day. Till this day, all these random acts of violence, I don't think they're random. I think they're targeted, and when I see stuff like that, it's a history. It's history of unfortunate circumstances that was taken away from us. And we unfortunately did not have that power of Jesus.
You so silly. Say it, let it out.
People need to realize their own true power in their voice.
I believe that.
I'll say that. And it's just like, I don't even remember this lady's name. And I was watching her interview where she said, you know, a lot of these people are lucky that we're not looking for revenge.
Mm,
We're not looking for revenge. We're just looking for equality.
absolutely.
So take that information into religion, you know?
Because
Why
in
are
many
you so
aspects, it's not
scared?
there.
Why
Yeah.
are you so scared to learn?
Correct.
What is your history? What is your true history? You know, what is my history? And I'm going to say my history because I don't know my history.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm literally going back to the beginning to figure out, well, how did this happen? And you can't dispute facts.
At all. At all.
You can't dispute it.
No.
So once I feel like, once I have that, you know, and kind of tie it all together,
Mm-hmm.
that's what would make me feel more confident in what I would continue practicing or what I would continue learning, because now I've basically matched A and B, and this is C is the conclusion.
Absolutely.
You know, that's the journey that I would love to just achieve and have that completeness at the end. And right now it's been a few years now that I've been, you know, kind of dibbling here and there trying to get some stuff, but
Absolutely.
it's just now I think this year is the year that I have really like gotten more deeply into what is it that I'm looking for. And I start with Africa. I have to start with Africa.
I mean, that's where it all starts.
That's the beginning. And that's where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
listen, I am very proud of you. I am excited for the journey. When you are learning things, shoot some things my way because I'm always open to knowledge. And I think it's going to be amazing. Whenever this resolution comes from you, it's going to be amazing. And one thing I want to say is don't rush it. Don't feel like you have to put a time frame, a time limit on when you find the answers you're looking for. You take your time and you soak all that in and share it when you do. And you're going to be an even better person. And like I said, have an even better connection to whatever you believe in. So yeah, I'm very proud of you, and I'm glad that you are on this journey and you are open to share it. So I appreciate that.
thank you. I appreciate you, Ramon. You're
Listen, we can talk about anything. Foolishness,
yes, you know,
religion, education. Like you said,
talk about anything.
Hello, somebody, and we will on other episodes. But you mentioned something important. I want you to always remember the power of your voice. And you have always been a multifaceted person. So understand the power that exists within. And sometimes it takes life experiences to reconnect with that. But I don't want you to ever forget that about yourself. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I thank you for this episode. I hope that people who listen to it are blessed. I was blessed and appreciative by listening to you. And I appreciate you as always, Lauren.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
All right. You take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's it for the Zone today. We are officially shutting it down. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until next time, remember this. You've been strong for so long. Allow your soul to rest and heal before continuing. You can and will get through this.